I don't know how it's not uncomfortable to have a fence post up your butt.
What's up, everybody? It is a great day in Sooner State today. We got a big time commit, Danny Okoye, but in this episode, we're going to dive more into the college landscape as a whole. Of course, we're going to cover our Sooners, but we're going to get more into last week's games, maybe some conference talk. What's going on with Alabama, big bad Alabama, and Nick Saban Tater haven't been looking too good. And we're going to talk about maybe some dark horses for a national championship run. I know it's still early, but we can get into that. So last week, pretty exciting week. Couple good games. Colorado State was a really good one. Let's go ahead and start with that one, considering all the hype they've been getting. And Neon Deion Sanders, them boys in Colorado.
Right. Well, first off, I do want to talk about the recent commit of Danny Okoye. The dude is an animal. Okay. So if you don't know him, you need to go Google or YouTube Danny Okoye. He literally goes to a homeschooled school in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So everyone thinks that he's a bum, but the dude can deadlift over 700 pounds and can squat 650, can do standing backflips in a full helmet and pads. He's just an absolute animal. So super big pickup from our Sooners to, man, that power line of the D line. It's coming together,
It
man.
is coming together. It's starting to look good.
What it's what you need for us heading into the SEC. So super excited about that. But
Definitely.
Colorado State was everything that I thought it was going to be. Whenever you got someone like Deion Sanders prime time that has been drawing, it's everywhere you turn. It's
Yeah, you can't
everywhere you
escape it.
turn. Oh my gosh, it's everywhere, dude. So whenever he got involved with Jay Norvell, the head coach of Colorado State, I was like,
Right.
there's about to be stuff going down in this game. And sure enough, there was a bunch of stuff going down. Probably the most notable is that pretty blatant, tone setting hit
Yeah.
on Travis Hunter. So what's your opinion on that?
On the
You
on the
think,
hit.
well, just like all of it, the hit, was it like how dirty was it, like on a scale of 1 to 10?
Hmm.
And then
It was
follow up on that, like what do you think the correct punishment is for that? Because you have some like extremists that are like the dude should be banned from playing college
right.
football ever again, or that's the game of football. Like, where do you fall in that paradigm?
I would say where, of course, you and I obviously not football experts by any means, but that hit, it gave me
Hey, speak for yourself.
true. But that hit gave me a 2008 Florida OU BCS vibe. So didn't really like that. Gave me a little bit of PTSD. But Travis Hunter actually came out on his own podcast dressed in a giraffe onesie. I don't know if you saw that,
I
but
did see that.
he was like, he was just doing what his job was, and that's football. And that's the way it goes. So that's a super. Really didn't expect that answer, especially with all the people that had been dogging on that safety all week long. But
Yeah, I thought the whole Colorado, like Travis Hunter, Deion Sanders, like
yeah,
all of
even
them
Dion.
handled it super maturely. But that's not what I asked, Colin. I asked your fence
Right.
riding self.
Well,
Because
I
if
was
you
getting
haven't
there.
watched the podcast, Colin is a just sublime. He just loves to ride a fence. Like
Oh
Colin
yeah.
loves to live there. So I asked you, what was your opinion on a scale of 1 to 10? Where did you live in there?
So I would say, as far as a dirty play, it was up there about an 8, probably 7 or 8 for me. But I would say he shouldn't get suspended. He shouldn't be receiving death threats, obviously. But I mean, like Travis Hunter did have like a lacerated liver or something, had to get sent to the hospital. So, but I mean, it's football, man. That's what they sign up for. So I would say, as far as punishment goes, did they throw a flag on that play? They had to have,
Yeah,
right?
they threw a
15-yard
flag.
personal. I'd say it just, it kind of ends there. Is my I kind of like Shadur getting up in his face. I'm not the biggest Shadur Sanders fan, but I thought that was cool to see a QB go nose to nose with him, sticking up for your guy. But that's kind of where I stand on the whole matter.
Man, I agree that I'm definitely around a 7 or 8 that it's a dirty play. And this is the frustrating thing about where college football or football in general is at, is that like these BS targeting calls that you can't
Right.
help because everyone's flying around at 18 to 20 miles an hour. And if a guy slides at the last second, you can't control if you already, well, you're out of the game and blah, blah, blah. And then
Right.
this dude clearly hits him late, like it's like sitting there saying, okay, I'm going to hit this dude, and then just gets an unsportsmanlike penalty.
Yeah.
I think the same thing happened last year with OU when that TCU linebacker
Oh, and
clearly
DT.
targeted Dylan Gabriel, and then
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel was out the rest of that game, and then all of the or the next game. I think that it'd be an interesting thing to almost have like an NCAA. Well, maybe I don't want to put the NCAA in charge of anything else, but they're like there needs to be like a review committee of like how intentional was this to injure another player, and like in this case where Travis Hunter's out like 2 to 3 weeks. Look, you intentionally went and hit that dude after like weren't making a play on the ball. You were literally trying to hit the dude. You're gonna serve the same amount of time that he's out. Like you're not playing until Travis Hunter's back playing.
Right.
Like because the TCU linebacker last year, it was like 3 or 4 games in a row where he knocked out the opposing team's quarterback.
Yeah.
And it's like at what point do we say you're intentionally doing that because it's giving you a leg up? So like I'm not mad about it, like as far as a on a competition level. And like you're saying, you signed up to play the game of like a physical college football game, but like there's got to be some type of liability where it's like, dude, you just knocked that dude out for a month and you're playing the following 3 Saturdays. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something like I just think it's interesting to think about.
Yeah. I think the only problem with that could be just how subjective it can get. And I feel like that could cause a lot of problems. But that is one thing I don't like about the targeting rule is it's automatic DQ. I think that's the dumbest rule in all of football. I hate it so much. And I just think it's so dumb. But staying on the
Well,
whole
because now
Colorado, what's
yeah, go
up? Go
ahead.
ahead and finish your
Well, I'm
thought.
just saying, like, there's two targeting. There's literally a dude
Just
spearing
going to make a
someone in the
play.
side of their helmet, like trying
Right.
to end the dude's life. And this guy was running at 18 miles an hour, and I was running at 20 miles an hour, and he slid, and I had already dove, and now I hit his helmet, and now I'm
Right.
out for a game. So,
Yeah. No, it's definitely a dumb rule. But sticking to the Colorado topic, how do you feel about the hype they've been getting this year?
uh, I get the hype just because of who Deion Sanders is and kind of what he was doing at um, Jackson State, or right? I think
Right.
that's
Yeah.
right. Um, and like had a solid program going there, was bringing in major talent like his son and like Travis Hunter. Um, so I think, especially going to a Colorado where they've just been absolute booty for
Terrible.
just like a decade. So,
Yeah.
and then especially like if they would have got curb stomped by TCU that first game, like I think we wouldn't have heard about them since then.
Yeah.
But obviously the hype train keeps picking up more and more momentum. I think they're talented, which is crazy with how much he had to rebuild the team and was just like kicking dudes off, not
Right.
caring about any. I mean, I don't know how they were
Not caring
practicing
about
with.
feelings.
Oh gosh, I mean, I think it went beyond feelings, but hey, apparently it's working. So
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
don't. I've
I
just been
don't.
kind of
It
struggling with
makes
it.
me wonder. It makes me wonder how good TCU, and then like
Right.
obviously we've seen that Nebraska just always piss the bed
Hmm.
and stuff like that, and then Colorado State is Colorado State. So
Yeah.
it just kind of makes me wonder. Like I think this week, them playing at Oregon, even if they're competitive, I'm going to be pretty impressed with how quickly that turnaround happened.
Yeah. Which I mean, there is something to be said for they start the season 3-0, right? After winning what they won one game last year. So
Right.
I mean, there's definitely improvement, obviously, that you can see, but I just think that you know they they haven't. TCU, I don't think is as good as we think they are. Nebraska is Nebraska, and then Colorado State, they were 24-point dogs, and then at home they win in overtime. So I think it's a little bit smoke and mirrors right now, in my opinion. But I think coming up, I think that they're kind of gonna come down to earth a little bit. So I feel like that's a good segue into, how Oregon's been playing and bodacious Nix. Well, Bo Nix, dude.
How's
How
that dude still in college?
I don't know. He's got to be like what, 30 years old now?
Did you see where that what team was it? I think it was, gosh dang it, now I'm forgetting. There's literally a player that is petitioning in the ACC to it's Miami. There's a tight end for Miami, and he's petitioning the ACC to have a ninth year of eligibility. He's been playing since 2016.
Dude, at some point you just gotta know when it's time to give it up, man.
That's what someone's like. It's time to get a job, bro.
That's ridiculous. Go contribute to society, my brother. That's crazy. But
Hey,
yeah,
being a functioning adult, I don't blame the young
that's
man
true. That's
one
true.
bit.
I think you tell me the the line for how many times a day you tell me don't grow up is it like 2.5. So I think we
Two
hit
and a half times a day. Is that
we
the
hit the
bet?
we
Like,
hit the over every single day, I think.
oh my gosh, man! If there's any listeners that are older than Colin, you need to comment, or if you're a family member, text him and say that I'm right and to not grow up because it's a trap.
I mean, I'll try and
I feel
figure
like I've
out a
told you
way.
that since you were like 4 years old.
Yeah. You and Jenny both, man. Jenny, shout out to my sister Jenny. She was upset about last week. I texted her, I was like, "Hey, I talked about you on the pod." And then she texted me, she's like, "I felt like that was kind of derogatory because I talked about her nagging in my ear about Jeff Levy's offense." But maybe she'll like this one better.
Leave it up to Jenny to find something to complain about.
Oh God, I know. She's like freaking Eeyore, dude. But yeah. So sticking in the Pac-12, man. What, they've got eight or nine top 25 teams, and they're not even going to exist next year. How crazy is that?
It's so wild. Like
Yeah.
it's the timing of all of this, just teams moving all over the place and stuff. It's just,
Right.
I mean, there's just parity in all of it.
You you
The Big Ten about to cease to exist, and it's just the most loaded quarterback conference, most talent, the best games all
probably the
season
best
long.
viewership too. Yeah.
Like yeah, they're gonna have more viewership this year than they've had in a long time. And then the parity in the Big 12 now that
Right.
OU and Texas are the only two teams that are ranked, and it's like the Big 12's been kind of like bashing on them all year, and
And
then
now
like
they're
this,
they're owning them. Now they
yeah,
claim.
they're like, yeah, exactly. So the parity in all of this has been pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just can't write this stuff. But who has impressed you so far? I know for me, we talked about this a little bit, but Washington has been kind of beating the dog out of everybody, and Michael Penix Jr. has been looking really good so far, and he could maybe be in Heisman talks later on in the year. I know it's just week 3, but that's one team that's kind of caught my eye a little bit. Let me hear, some of your thoughts. To me, honestly, the landscape is pretty wide open. Like I think Michigan's good and they have a great backfield with Blake Corum back there. But they didn't look great against Bowling Green for a while last week. And then, Alabama, I don't know what's going on with Alabama. And then Texas is the 4th ranked team, 3rd ranked team now in the country. And Texas is Texas, man. Barely squeak on out against Wyoming until garbage time. So let me hear on who's like kind of impressed you and what you think about
Yeah,
the
that's
teams at the
that's
top right now.
my thought is that I haven't really been that impressed, which is
Right,
kind of a cool thing because I feel like for so long now I mean, because even Georgia was struggling with South Carolina,
right.
for a little
Shout out
bit.
Spencer
And
Rattler.
so, yeah, shout out Spencer Rattler. Shout out Eddie Radosevich for
Right.
understanding how Spencer Rattler feels. Um, no, it's just kind of cool. I honestly like this version of college football a little bit better when you're kind of like it's a toss up of hey, okay, we're seeing Bama lose and then struggle with freaking South Florida. We saw
Yeah.
Texas beat Bama, but now Bama doesn't seem to be, Alabama, and then they struggle with Wyoming. We see Georgia with South Carolina. We see, all these things happening, and I think that it's a lot more fun than, um, you know, oh,
No.
Georgia and Bama and Ohio State. Okay, fun. Or who's the fourth team going to be? Like, I think that this is a lot more enjoyable for all of college football. I think Oregon is interesting with the experience that Bo Nix does bring. We
Mm.
joke about it, but those dudes putting up 80 in week one and
Yeah,
haven't
that's
really seen him to
ridiculous.
struggle. But I mean, that Pac-12, it's a gauntlet, with
No, it is.
Utah and Oregon and Washington and USC, and then you can pin Oregon State and Washington State. It's pretty crazy. Pretty
Yeah.
crazy it's that
And
deep. So
even UCLA's top 25 right now too. They beat they beat a cupcake team pretty bad last week. I don't know who they've got this week. I can look it up, uh, but they've been playing some pretty good ball too. They got Utah this week, so that's a 22 against 11 matchup. So yeah, the Pac-12, man, they're drawing eyeballs. It's crazy, and it's
they'll
just
drawing lots of eyeballs and then they'll draw
zero
zero
eyeballs.
eyeballs.
It's unreal, dude. But it's crazy what the power of TV contracts and that sort of thing can do. But
Money talks.
money does for sure talk. And speaking of money talking, uh, we could talk a little NIL and teams that don't like NIL. Uh, Okie Light. There's nothing, man, that gives me more joy. You know, and it's not even, I wouldn't even say it's hatred, just because OSU is just so far down the totem pole compared to OU. What is it, like 92 to 19 in Bedlam? They're like a little chihuahua that is just barking and you're just like, whatever, dude, just walk past it. They're no real threat. But watching them lose to South Alabama gave me so much joy. And then Mike Gundy comes out in a press conference and says we have no major problems.
Yeah.
What?
And then all the quarterbacks were like, I thought all of them did pretty well. It's like,
Yeah, you scored
what?
7 points. It's just unreal, dude.
I just think that they're in a weird situation because they're not going to fire Mike Gundy.
No,
And then Mike Gundy knows they're not going to fire him. And then their team is freaking. I mean, this tells you how booty their team is. Is Spencer Sanders is freaking riding the
on the
pine at Ole
bench,
Miss instead of being
right?
a starting quarterback because he
Right.
knew how freaking terrible they were going to be this year.
Yeah, and what's crazy too is with OU and Texas leaving, everyone thought OSU is going to be the top dog, right? And they might not win 4 games this year, Tate. It's
Yeah.
not looking good for the Pokes out there in Stillwater. But oh man, it just brings me so much joy to watch them be so bad. But which,
Only thing better is just watching the Horns poop the bed, but
right?
we'll see if that.
I thought I
I don't
thought we
think we.
were I thought we were gonna get it Saturday. We were close, but who
I
knows?
just don't want them to do it before OU because then they're just going to come out. I mean, like that game's always just a freaking
Slugfest.
slugfest. It's a perfect. It's crazy. So if they lost to freaking Wyoming, they'd just be like, "Well, we got to go prove." So I'm like,
Right.
"No, wait to poop the bed until after."
Yeah, which that worries me a little bit about, Cincinnati coming up this week, but we can talk about that in a little bit because we're going to talk about the Sooners here in a little bit. But what games what games are you most excited for this week? As far as the slate goes, we got Ohio State, Notre Dame, which is obviously probably going to be the big one. Arkansas, LSU. We didn't talk about Florida, Tennessee last week, and Florida just going in absolutely stomping Tennessee, man.
Yeah,
That was shocking because they looked horrible against Utah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I heard um, a fact saying that like Tennessee hasn't won at Florida in over 10 years
Yeah, that's
or
insane.
the last 10 meetings. So it's like over a decade, which
Yeah,
it's weird how some of those things like just seem to snowball on you where it
yeah.
just creates so much pressure that you're like, nah, I don't think we're going to do it this time
Just the
either.
monkey on the back, man.
I mean, again, it just goes into, I find it rather enjoying that there's no team that's just been like, Oh no, they've been absolutely dominant, and there's nobody that's going to be able to touch them. So
Right.
I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. And then, that gives us a little hope, starting down at 20 and then kind of working our way back up.
We'll
But
see. One
yeah,
game at a time.
one game at a time. So is there anything else you want to add as far as the landscape as a whole
There's
goes?
like what? How many games are there that are ranked matchups?
So Florida State, Clemson, which Florida State's for, but Clemson has not looked good. They're unranked.
And you're frozen.
Oh no. Am I back?
There we go.
All
Yeah,
right, all
there
right.
we are.
So we got Colorado, Oregon, that's 19-10. Mississippi, Alabama, 13-15. UCLA, Utah is 22-11. And then Oregon State, Washington State, two Pac-12 teams, 14-21. Iowa, Penn State, 24-7. Ohio State, Notre Dame, 6-9. Nice. And then
Very nice.
and then that's all like the ranked matchups as far as two teams being ranked. But some other like interesting
Definitely the
games.
week. Definitely the best week of college football so far.
Oh, for sure, without a doubt. But there'll be definitely a lot of games going on. Uh, so yeah, I'll definitely be tuning into that Notre Dame Ohio State game. I think a lot of people will. Marvin Harrison Jr. is an absolute dog. But I think Ohio State could be pretty good this year if they figure a few things out. I really like Ryan Day. I think he's a good coach. But
I don't like Ryan Day.
no, no good on
No,
Ryan.
he just gives me like weird vibes.
Is it
Like
his
with his like
eyebrows?
it's like the eyebrows and looks like he has freaking movie makeup on before he goes onto the field to coach a football game.
You're
I
not
don't
supposed to
know.
judge people by their appearances.
Well, it happens.
You're supposed to judge people on the content of their character, bro.
Welcome to America, Colin. It's time to grow up and face reality.
Sorry. But you keep telling me not to grow up, and now you tell me to grow up and face reality. Pick one or the other, dude.
Mm.
All right, man. Well, let's move on to our Sooners. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about last week. Just absolutely skull dragging Tulsa 66-17. And me and old Steve made a trip down to Tulsa for that game, and it was electric, brother. It was awesome.
True fans, man. True
I'm saying,
fans.
man. It was like I was like, there's a very good chance that Tulsa gets booed coming out of the tunnel on their own field right now because there were so many OU fans there. And I
What
sent you
would you say the percentage was?
it was 80-20 might be lowballing it, to be honest. It was ridiculous. In the fourth quarter, so I don't know east or west or north or south, but one of the end zones. So one end zone has just a building, like a complex, and then the other end zone, which is where our seats were, we were like on the sideline, but in that side of the field had actual bleachers and stands. And Tulsa's back was facing that end zone, and it's third down in the fourth quarter. And the defense asks for crowd noise, and they get it in Tulsa Stadium. And it was like, this is kind of sad, but this is also super awesome. But
Well, the saddest part about it is that I saw on OU message boards that the Tulsa Twitter account like bragged about selling out
yeah,
the
yeah,
crowd. It's like you have to know
yeah,
that it's not from your fans, you
right.
idiot.
Yeah. Well, they don't care, dude. They're still getting the gate money anyways.
Oh my gosh.
But we yeah, me and my dad we actually had a little bit of a freak out because we bought tickets the day of. Um I was driving and he was in the passenger seat looking at SeatGeek, bro. And he's like, wait, just literally watching it for prices to go down the closer it gets to game time. So he finally buys tickets. And then it's not until like an hour, maybe 2 hours later, he screenshots and sends me the tickets. We're like eating, and then we're gonna like head to the stadium afterwards. And I look at the tickets and I'm like, these seats are in different rows. And so they were like seat 21 and seat 22, but like row 30 and row 40. And so he
Did you have to sit by yourself?
well, he went and talked to the like ticket office, and they ended up being like general admission, which I was like, that is crazy that there's general admission, like the section we were in. So it was super cool because we got to get some pretty cool seats for an OU game because we don't get to get that close in Norman, but Tulsa Stadium is pretty small, so it was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
There you go.
But so
Did you
what are
see
some
Rodney Anderson?
dude, okay, listen to this. You're gonna hate me, bro. But I was
Oh
actually
gosh.
debating whether to tell you this or not.
Oh God.
I go to the concession stand to grab a water bottle, and Rodney Anderson is right behind me in line. And like I didn't take a picture with him
Colin.
or anything. But listen, dude, people were coming up and like bugging him, bro, and he was with his wife, and I didn't want to say anything to him.
You
I was
blew
like,
it.
I know, I know, but I was like, dude, this is so awesome because this guy would have like, he was one of my favorites to
Colin,
watch,
you
but
almost should no, you don't get to say anything else after
this
this.
is why I
I
didn't want
just
to tell
called
you. I knew
I
exactly how you would react, bro.
I just got done calling you a true fan for going
Dude,
to an away game,
I
even
was
though it's in the
respecting
city you live
Kimmy's
in. Shh. I just called you a true fan, and you saw a freaking Sooner legend
legend.
right behind you in line for the concession stand, and you freaking tucked tail and bought your little lemonade and sour punch straws because apparently your boys haven't dropped to ask them Sooner great for a picture.
Uh, I
This
just,
episode's over.
dude, come on, come on. I'm just the type of guy that likes to live in the moment, enjoy the moment, not have any phones around. No,
You could have lived in that moment for all of eternity if you would have taken a picture.
have you heard the thing though that like when people go to concerts and they you know take pictures and stuff of the concert, they don't remember it as well as if they would have just gone and put the phone away and just lived in the moment.
I didn't say video the entire game on your phone. I said while you were freaking standing in line to get a Kool-Aid, turn around and talk to a Sooner legend.
I know, I know. The guy in front of
That's
me.
like Jenny not going and taking a picture with Chet Holmgren.
Oh yeah, when she saw him walking through the airport.
Y'all just must run in the freaking family. Not this side of the family, but that side of the family.
We have boundaries, bro. We respect people's boundaries. That's all I got
Yep.
to say about
I would have
it.
had a picture.
Yeah. Well, next time. Next time I see him, I'll get a picture.
Next time you see Rodney Anderson in line at a concession stand, you consider it done.
Yeah. Listen. Speaking of the Anderson family, let's stop pretending that Nick Anderson isn't the best receiver on the team.
I feel like someone told you that on game day.
You told me that? I thought I
They
told you
should. No, I
that.
definitely told you that he's our best wide receiver,
Well, maybe I'm saying let's stop pretending as a general term, not necessarily to you.
which just begs the question, man, all those guys like freaking it just begs the question, where were these dudes last week?
Right? SMU.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's wild to me. They
Yeah.
freaking balled out in Arky State, and then for some reason we don't use them, and then use them again in Tulsa, and the dude goes 3 catches for 120 and
He he went
three
Randy
tutties.
Moss. He literally went
Yeah,
Randy
dude.
Moss, dude.
So, and then Jaden Gibson high pointed another ball, and
He had
I
two
don't know,
dudes on him and it's just like he didn't use his body or anything. That was just hands. Just a insane catch. But
freaking vice grips.
yeah, for real. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know whether they weren't wanting to put stuff on tape, what they were doing. Dudes were messing up in practice, but those dudes can ball. And if they're not playing it next week, I'm going to be scratching my head. But
It
I
makes
don't
you
know.
wonder, like, if there's any freshman running backs that need to be getting PT because
Right.
those guys
And
have not been good yet.
that's which we didn't rush the ball a whole lot Saturday, but that's one thing. But SMU, we rushed the ball a ton, and I feel like, we never really got. I mean, we rushed pretty effectively, but no like crazy splash plays or anything. But you and me talked about how we thought the running back room was like the most talented and like the deepest room. And so far they've kind of been one of the most, in my opinion, kind of disappointing rooms on the team. But that's kind of raises some questions about how things have been going. But let me hear your thoughts on that.
Yep, running backs and offensive line. I feel like both of those groups were talked about in the offseason as being like pretty loaded and having depth or that competitive depth that BV had talked about. And so far, I have not been impressed with any of the push that the O line has gotten, and then any hole that there has been, the running backs haven't been hitting it. It's like
Right.
they enjoy running into players instead of around them or in the gaping holes. So I don't know, lots of questions there, but we'll see. I feel
Yeah.
like they just need to kind of gel together and get a better, you know, more chemistry working
Yeah.
together. So
I agree.
hopefully we'll see. But
Yeah.
this is the week to find out.
Absolutely. Hopefully it's more of like a rhythm thing. And they can get it going. But DG looked really good again Saturday. He's kind of letting it rip a little bit.
Yeah,
So
he's
and
he's a lot more aggressive this year, which
right.
I feel like is helping his game instead of being hesitant to make a mistake. He's like you're saying, he's just ripping it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like receivers are high pointing, being competitive, going making competitive catches, and then he's trusting his guys, trusting the play calls and stuff like that. So he's done really well, man. I can't complain. I will gladly eat my words on
Right.
like saying that he's not. I still don't think he's like a Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jackson Arnold almost already has that kind of like aura of being like that
The
dude.
guy. Yeah.
And yeah, and Dylan doesn't really seem to have that to me, but I'll gladly eat those words if he continues to ball out at this level.
Yeah. And we talked about Nick Anderson and Jaden Gibson, but Andrew Anthony has also been really impressive. And Jalil Farouk balled out Saturday too.
Yeah,
So
that was his best game in an
for
OU
sure.
jersey for sure.
Yeah. So
For sure. So
hopefully the offense can keep it rolling. Not many complaints there. And the defense looked really good again. Five interceptions, first time since 2003. Woody Washington still locked down. Gentry Williams looked good. Reggie Pearson.
Dutchman pick six.
Yeah. Stutzman has been on another planet, dude. And
He
I
really
can't I
has.
can't get behind the braids, man. But did you see
Keep
those?
having pick sixes, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of
I mean
nasty.
he could do whatever he wants with his hair if he keeps playing like he is though,
Well, he's
honestly.
freaking changing it like every week.
Yeah,
Goes from like purple to yellow to braids.
he's definitely a character for sure. But that
They
dude,
always say you want a little bit of crazy in your
mhm.
linebacker, and we got it.
Yeah, we did. But he's been really good. Kip Lewis has still been really good. Um, I thought the defensive line, their sack numbers aren't crazy, but like I've been listening to a lot of people talk about, the quarterback completion percentage is kind of a good stat to look at when kind of grading your defensive line. And so we've been getting like a lot of hurries and better pressure, and we've been holding teams to like 2.5, 2.4 yards a carry. So I thought the defensive line has been improved. There's still room to get better, obviously, but I mean, after last year with our defensive ranks, I'm not much I'm going to be complaining about. But this is going to be a huge test Saturday. So
Right. I'm looking forward to better competition to see where we're at. But like I said last episode, I really am trying to just stay just
when
neutral, man. I'm like,
when are
I'm not.
we when are we going to get over that pessimistic wall of yours, man? Because when we do,
Well,
it's going to be
the
glorious.
second that you stop realizing that we were 3-0 last year and like
All right,
BVZ
all right,
and
all
then
right.
finish 6-7. So
Fair enough. Fair
3-0
enough.
again. Got everything in front of us. Defenses look good. Still having some like mental lapses, but they're like a lot less and a lot less frequent than they were last year. So hopefully we can just continue to build up momentum
Right.
in the right way. But
But
great week
tell me
of
this.
college football ahead.
Yeah.
Man, excited to watch OU, you know, with a better opportunity to go up and improve that we're legit this year and we'll see. I'm
All right.
excited to watch it, man.
Before we get out of here, dude, two things. First question: how are we feeling? Yes or no answer. Okay. Does OU win the Big 12 this year?
Yes.
Okay. Second thing: how do you feel in fantasy? And I don't know if I should bring Justin Fields back in or keep him on the bench. Shout out Lenny on the baseball team, huge Justin Fields fan. But I think I'm gonna rock with Baker this week. But how you feeling about your fantasy game this week?
I don't want to talk too much about it because I haven't had any injuries yet, and it's
All
been
right.
an injury-riddled season. So I'm just knocking on wood. That's the end of the fantasy talk. That's the end of the podcast. Love you guys. Good night.